Hi, everyone, and welcome. We are going to be talking about gallbladder and when you have it removed, what can you do to help support your body? Information comes from an article by Dr. Jocker called Nope Gallbladder Strategies to Improve Digestive Health After Surgery. If you have any questions, you can feel free to give Dr. Justine a quick text 647-987-9355. I wanted to welcome Dr. Justine and Dr. Udani. So Dr. Justine is our leader here at Justine Blainey Wellness Center, and she is a passionate warrior for your and your family's health. She believes that everyone deserves a healthcare team that focuses on prevention, optimal health, and open communication. She is a max living doctor and is amazing. She is my doctor. So Dr. Udani is our naturopathic doctor here at the Justine Blainey Wellness Center, and she is very, very passionate about women's health and digestion. Can talk a lot about digestion, chronic pain, but lots of things, including skin conditions. Please help me welcome both Dr. Justine and Dr. Udani.
All right. Hello, everybody. We have amazing information to come up, but we also have one about stress because the holidays get more stressed and people get sick more often just coming around Christmas. We're going to talk about how to keep your muscle mass as you get older. People tend to get more weak, and then that leads to less energy. That affects then your heart. It's a cascading horrible downward spike because then you're more risk of falling, lack of balance, and fractures. So super, super important to keep your muscle mass. So we'll be talking about that and then uncovering ways to deal with edema and swelling. So lots of great information coming up. Today we're talking about your gallbladder. And of course, first goal is keep your gallbladder, right? Like you were not born with extra parts. You were not born not needing your gallbladder, although it is removed very, very frequently. Like literally 600,000 people a year are dealing with gallbladder being removed and digestive concerns. And the gallbladder is super, super important for that. But it can feel overwhelming then, okay, I had my gallbladder removed. Now what do I do? Like there's no advice. So today we're talking about what does a gallbladder do? How do you want to keep it? And if you did have it removed, what do you do? Now, this happened to my own mother. She was getting gallbladder attacks definitely after making poor food choices, and I would pound on her back to help reduce the pain. But really, it's just horrible, debilitating pain where painkillers just really don't even work. And it comes after making poor food choices, and especially after making multiple poor food choices and not proper spinal alignment, the nervous system to the gallbladder, and an increased stress response. So we're going to talk about that today. We got a ton of information. Dr. Udani and I are going to try and help you because the best way is prevention. Be proactive and work on understanding if you had to have your gallbladder removed because you made poor choices, how do you support your loved ones around you so they don't make the same mistakes you did? So great information coming up. Dr. Udani.
Thank you, Dr. Justine. So, just like Dr. Justine mentioned, we need our gallbladder. Our gallbladder is a really important organ. And a lot of times when we get those gallbladder attacks, like Dr. Justine's mom experienced, what the medical doctors would say is, okay, we need to either keep monitoring it or take the gallbladder out. But the gallbladder is actually a really important organ that helps with our digestion. So that's what we want to prevent that from happening. We want to prevent, gallbladder attacks from happening and maintain the gallbladder health. So so what is the gallbladder? So it is a really small pear-shaped organ. It's right next to your liver. It's very small when you think about it. It's only 2 to 3 inches long, 2 inches wide, and it stores your bile. So bile is a very important digestive fluid that's produced in the liver, but gets concentrated and stored in the gallbladder. And bile helps with breaking down your fats and helps its absorption. So that's why the gallbladder is really important because, without bile, we're not going to be able to absorb our fat. And without fat, it affects our nervous system, it affects our energy, it affects our blood sugar levels. So it's really important to have a healthy gallbladder. So when we have problems with the gallbladder, that's where we get those gallbladder attacks. So sometimes the bile can have a hard time leaving the gallbladder because of there's too much bile stones being created because of a poor diet, stress, lifestyle problems, even infections, and chronic inflammation. So this is what we're trying to prevent. So what are the functions of bile? So we have 4 major things that bile does. First, like I mentioned, it helps with breaking down your fats. And it also really helps with making sure you go to the washroom. So if you have some trouble with gallbladder, you might notice that you have trouble pooping. You might feel a little bit constipated, or you might get a lot of diarrhea. So it could be one or the other, because bile is really important for proper digestion. Bile can also kill off bad bacteria. So it has some antibacterial properties too. And it can also help with blood sugar. So if you are having, a very, very high fat, high sugar diet, for example, that makes your gallbladder work extra hard to release bile. But what can happen is, if you have a lot of unhealthy habits, the bile can become more congested and more sluggish, and bile stones can happen. And it's the bile stones that when they get stuck in the bile duct, which is where the bile gets released, that's when you can get those really, really bad gallbladder attacks that can feel like a knife onto your side. It's really terrible, can even wake you up at nighttime. So that's what we're trying to prevent, because when those things become more frequent, that means there's a lot of inflammation in the gallbladder, and we don't want that to happen. So what are some major symptoms of gallbladder disease? So this can be a whole bunch of things, but a lot of patients that come see me that have problems with the gallbladder say, first thing they notice is that pain, So they get a pain after they eat something really fatty, like say pizza, or like a meal with lots of fat. They would wake up in the middle of the night with a really crazy pain on their side, or their shoulder pain on the right side. You can also have a lot of nausea and vomiting that can happen. You can have some fatty and greasy stool. So this is like stool that floats. If you take a look at it, it floats on the toilet bowl, or it leaves a lot of stain. So that means there's a lot of fat and grease in it that's not being absorbed because the gallbladder is having trouble breaking down the fats. You can have lots of gas and bloating. Yellowing of the skin can happen too, especially yellowing in your eyes. Like I mentioned, constipation and diarrhea. Light colored stool. So your stool should never look super, like very light. It should look brown, right? Or a little bit of dark of yellow, but never super light, because that means you're not producing enough bile, or it's not being released enough. You can even have a bitter taste in your mouth, skin rashes, and a lot of different things, like even pain down your leg can be from a gallbladder disease. So this is where, if you're having any of these symptoms, it's really important to get it tested. There's comprehensive blood work we can do. There's also functional testing that can be done too, to make sure a gallbladder is doing well. So what are the 5 root causes of gallbladder issues? So first one, like I mentioned, is the gallstone. So like I mentioned before, what can happen if bile is just staying around is it tends to get hardened and cause stones, just like kidney stones. The gallbladder can have gallstones. And so when these gallstones are just hanging out, they can block the bile duct, and that can make the duct become inflamed and cause a lot of pain. So this is where you often might need to do surgical intervention, because at this point, it might have been there's too many stones, for example. Now, I have some patients who've done ultrasounds, right, on their gallbladder, and it comes up saying there's no stones, but the gallbladder looks sluggish. So what that means is the stones are just about to be created. So we want to be very preventative and prevent the stones from being produced, and also to release some of these stones in a safe way, so that way it's not blocking the bile duct. So gallstones and improper flow of the bile is like one of the first causes of gallbladder issues. Number two is, like Dr. Justine mentioned, bad dietary choices and bad lifestyle. So lots of high processed foods, refined grains, lots of bad fats like seed oils. If you're going to take out every day, that's a lot of processed food. So that's going to really stress out the gallbladder, because now gallbladder has to release extra bile to break down all of the fats, and that can be a lot of stress of the gallbladder. And we want to prioritize a balanced diet and regular exercise, because that will reduce that inflammation. So I always tell my patients, I know Dr. Justine says the same thing, try to adapt one healthy habit every week. Then at the end of the year, you can have 52 different healthy habits. So it could be just like cutting out instead of having 5 cookies, you have 2 cookies and then 1 cookie. So these small things really make a huge difference at the end of the year. So diet and lifestyle is a big factor with gallbladder problems. Then we also have gut infections. So let's say if you've gone traveling and you caught the traveler's diarrhea, for example, or let's say you ate some meat that was a little bit bad, these things can cause a lot of inflammation in the digestive system. So if you have chronic problems like, you're going to the washroom all the time, multiple times a day, or you're constipated, if you have crazy cravings for sweets, for example, that could be a big sign of parasites. You can also have anxiety, brain fog, teeth grinding is another big sign of parasites as well. So depression, headaches, skin problems like skin rashes, acne, they could actually be signs of gut infections. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, how do I figure this out? Well, there are testing that we could do to check your stool to figure out, is there a active infection going on that could be causing inflammation? So all of this can reduce or impact the bile flow basically, and can cause inflammation in the gallbladder. So having these underlying gut infections can be a really big sign of gallbladder inflammation. So we want to make sure that is taken care of. And number 4 is some other underlying health conditions. So gallbladder, if you notice that a lot of women tend to have gallbladder problems, and a lot of women also tend to have thyroid problems, so they go hand in hand. So an underactive thyroid, which is where your thyroid is right here, it affects your metabolism, your energy, hormone production, and cholesterol levels in the body. So if your thyroid is underactive, you might notice you have really cold hands and feet, or you feel tired all the time, or you might feel a lot of fluid retention, especially in your lower legs, and hair loss, brittle nails. These are things that can be a sign of thyroid problems. And now we can check for these signs. We don't have to guess. There's lab tests that I can order as your naturopath that can really help us figure out what's going on underneath all of these symptoms. So low thyroid action can affect your gallbladder too. So, so we want to make sure that we check your whole body, top to bottom, because there is all these organs that are connected. So this underactive thyroid, I myself had it back in the day, where I woke up feeling so fatigued, had no idea what was going on. And then it wasn't until I did some thorough blood work with my naturopath that I found out there is a problem here, and then I could fix it. So it's important to figure out what is going on with your thyroid, if you're feeling like there's something up with your gallbladder. And of course, we have chronic inflammation. Inflammation affects everything, including your gallbladder. So, we want to make sure that we are eating properly, we're having enough sleep, we're working on our stress. I know stress is hard we all have stress every day, but if you can manage it, that is the best way. Smoking, infections, toxic overload from, chemicals, all of this can increase our inflammation bucket. And, it's when that inflammation bucket overflows, we can get chronic gallstones and gallbladder issues. So what it does is it can increase the inflammation even more, because it's affecting our digestion. So this can be a vicious cycle. And inflammation affects all parts of the body, not just the gallbladder. It can affect your digestive system, your joints, muscles, heart, nervous system too. So chronic inflammation is something we want to really take a look at too when it comes to preventing gallbladder problems. So why do we need to do this? It's because gallbladder surgeries are one of the most common surgeries that's done. And like Dr. Justine mentioned, we don't want to take away something like, that God created in our body, or that's a very functioning organ that's important. So a lot of times the only solution in the conventional medical system is, okay, there's gallstones, there's inflammation, okay, we got to take it out. But that can really put stress on the other parts of your digestive system, including your liver, and including your whole digestion. So basically, we want to safely prevent gallbladder attacks and promote gallbladder health and prevent this inflammation from happening. So that way, these surgeries don't need to happen all the time. And it can be avoidable if we catch it early. And so here are some things that we can do for that.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Udani. So we covered the 5 causes of gallbladder problems. And of course, prevention and proactivity is the best thing to do. But then what if you've had your gallbladder removed, like my mom or my aunt? Like if it's already gone, what are you supposed to do? So an anti-inflammatory diet, and we'll cover information on that. We have many talks on anti-inflammatory diet. Or just an anti-inflammatory way of eating. Don't have to think of it as a weight loss program. It's just a way of eating. Looking at healthy herbs and bile, ways to manage your bile, smaller repetitive meals, helping with your stomach acids and digestive enzymes. And we'll be talking about some of those ways to detox. But again, if you are going to do a detox, make sure you do it with support, because sometimes you feel worse when you do a detox, and you can actually make yourself pretty sick if you do a detox improperly. You need those gallbladder enzymes. So if you're not able to have your gallbladder, you want to be extra careful if you're trying to do a detox and clean out your gut and help improve your gut biome. All right. So one of the best strategies, as we cover coming up, is that anti-inflammatory diet. That's getting rid of those refined whole grained foods. Like even if you say, oh, well, it's brown bread. No. We still want whole sprouted Ezekiel or a gluten-free bread. No fried foods, no fast foods. I was talking to one of my patients who works at McDonald's and saying that people spend $100 at McDonald's. I couldn't believe it. People bring their families to breakfast at McDonald's. It's much cheaper and healthier to have grass-fed eggs and free-range eggs at home. Make your own breakfast, make your own organic coffee, and getting rid of the poor seed oils. And that's hidden in a lot of crackers and a lot of salad dressings, things like corn oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, vegetable oil, soybean oil. We need to start to every week, one time a week, read those labels, because they're so involved into our foods, and that they just hide things. I saw an Instagram post, and it showed foods, from 25 years ago to today, and it's literally quadruple the ingredients in order to make it cheaper and last longer. Right. But that doesn't mean that it's healthier. So we want grass-fed, pasteurized meats, wild fishes, lots of lemon and limes in your water, adding berries for breakfast or berries with your as your snacks. Looking for your healthy oils, green tea before you go to bed. Looking at adding vegetables, turmeric, ginger. Add ginger to your tea. Looking at making your own bone broth. My husband makes the bone broth and vegetable broth, and often you make so much that you can save it in the freezer and then reuse it. Adding apple cider vinegar to your salad dressings with extra virgin olive oil. Maybe put a little pure maple syrup, pasteurized maple syrup. That way you can have your own personal salad dressing. Literally apple cider vinegar, organic olive oil, spices, and a little bit of healthy sweetener like a pure honey, pure maple syrup, or xylitol, monk fruit, and it's going to taste delicious. Adding the great herbs like basil, oregano, thyme, rosemary, sage. Many of these you can still grow in the winter off your windowsill. And so there it can make very inexpensive. And many of these you can add to all of your dinners and your meals to make it healthier for you. So purposely adding those spices, the garlic, the onions, the chives, and helping your meals be healthier. Chives grow like a weed. I have them outside with the tomatoes. They're literally like so big and they come back every year. And you just cut them up, put them with your eggs. It's just an easy way to add to your eggs, scrambled eggs or whatever, your omelets, and helping make those meals healthier. So get into that anti-inflammatory way of living.
Absolutely, Dr. Justine. And I think just even adding different, even doing the one of these things can be very, very, very helpful. And also, we want to add foods that can improve your bile flow too. So, bile healthy foods, think bitter. So, bitter foods tend to help the liver a lot. And it can be very, very, very helpful when you're trying to do maybe a bile gallbladder flush, or if you're trying to improve the bile flow. And because when we have bile stones, we want to just gently maybe flush it. And this should be done under, under supervision, but also just as a prevention too. So apple cider vinegar is very, very helpful. Same with lemon and lime water. And even having things like parsley, cucumber, celery in your food can be really helpful. Think dandelion. So I know they grow like weeds everywhere, but dandelion leaves are very, very good for your liver. So even if you want to do, you can get it from the store. Don't get it from the ground because there could be pesticides. So we don't want that. But, dandelion leaves in your salad has a very nice, spicy, bitter taste. It's very good for the liver and for the gallbladder. Milk thistle is another great liver supportive herb. You can get this thing as capsules too. And a lot of people also do gallbladder cleanses with some olive oil, some a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of some ginger or green tea as a flush. First thing in the morning, they can do that too, just to stimulate that bile flow and to cleanse the gallbladder too. So there's a lot of bile healthy foods you can add into your diet. The best thing is to remember is think bitter, because that's what would help your gallbladder and your liver too. And you want to eat smaller meals. So you want to avoid large meals in a sitting, because that's going to make your gallbladder work extra hard to release bile. So it's going to have a harder time breaking down fats and can cause more bloating, nausea, even some pains can happen if you had a big meal. So instead of having, let's say, 3 really big meals, you can do 3 to 4 smaller meals during the day. So in your eating window, especially if you're doing intermittent fasting. So this means, having less of the protein, a little bit less of the carbs, a little bit less of the fats. And sometimes even a lighter meal can put less stress on your digestive system too. So sometimes, having, let's say, for example, a slice of pizza and then a steak at the same time is going to put more stress on your gallbladder compared to a salad and then some chicken, right? So you might want to see what would work best for you. And this is where you might need to get some assistance, some coaching to figure out what is the right meal plan. So eating smaller meals definitely reduces the stress on the gallbladder. A lot of the patients
what I love, Dr. Udani, go to breakfast and get steak, bacon, sausage, and hash browns. Right? So the only thing really great on that plate is the eggs, and they're typically cooked in bad fat, right?
Yes,
so
exactly.
Again, that's a gallbladder attack breakfast.
That is so true, because sometimes the amount of fat in that meal is enough for the whole day. And so it's like when you're just starting off, it's so much stress on the gallbladder and the digestive system. So I completely agree with you, Dr. Justine. And I also say have some green tea if you can with the meal like that, because that can really help with the fat too. So try to avoid having too much fat when you are trying to cleanse and help your gallbladder. And we want to optimize your stomach acid production, because when there's enough stomach acid, that really helps to reduce some stress on the gallbladder, because the stomach acid also helps with digestion, right? And it also releases some fat digestive enzymes. So like I mentioned, we can start with smaller meals that can help your stomach acid. Can have some liquid nutrition. So these are smoothies, shakes that are already basically been broken down, so it's easier on the gut. Ginger is amazing, really good if you're having nausea or vomiting. Having some ginger tea, or even fresh sliced ginger that you can just take a little shot of. You can have lots of water, but try to do it in between meals instead of right after a meal or right before a meal, because that can actually dilute your stomach acid. So I always tell my patients, have water 30 minutes after you eat. That way it can digest much better without having it being diluted. So like drink very little with meat, especially. So try to have your meat first. So that way it has time to digest, and then you can have your veggies after, and then carbs last, to make sure that your blood sugar is good too. Use fermented veggies, please. So this could be sauerkraut, kimchi, pickled veggies. They really can help with boosting stomach acid. Even fermented drinks like kombucha can be very good too. Can be a little gassy for some people, so just be mindful of that. And you want to eat your largest meal when you're most relaxed, basically to make sure that your digestive juices are flowing well. And sometimes you might need some supplement support with your digestive stomach acid. So this could be digestive enzymes, betaine, which is a stomach acid molecule that I could recommend for you too. But with stomach acid, when it's optimized, it helps to jumpstart your digestive system. So it's really, really important. And if you've been diagnosed, or let's say you have family that has gallbladder problems, you might need to use a supplement, that digestive enzyme that has ox bile in it. So this is it's basically bile that can help you digest the fat. So instead of you producing it, you're taking it in a supplement form. This can be very helpful, especially if you have frequent bile attacks, or if you have lots of chronic bloating, gas, and digestion problems. So usually with digestive enzymes, we want to start off with every meal, and then we can cut it down to as your body gets better. So I tell my patients, take it 5 to 10 minutes before you start your meal. So that can be very, very helpful when you are trying to reduce the pressure on the gallbladder, so that way it's not going to be super inflamed. So, and even detoxifying your liver and bile ducts. So drinking water is so important for not just everywhere else, but for the gallbladder too. I ask my patients every day, I'm like, how much water did you drink today? And every day I will have at least one patient that said, oh, I forgot, or I haven't had water today. And I always have to give them a little lecture. I'm like, it's so important to drink your water and stay hydrated. I mean, even Dr. Justine, who's working so many hours, has 3 water bottles in her rooms. So, it's all about being intentional and having it near you. That way you have access to it too. So making sure you drink water, and it could be warm water with lemon, some ginger, some of the herbs, some of the bile healthy herbs can really help with detoxifying and improving your liver. It could also be herbal teas, things like dandelion tea or milk thistle tea to help boost your liver as well. And regular exercise and infrared saunas can be so helpful too. That's something I love to do as the weather is getting colder, is to go and do some sauna, some steam room, get that sweat going, because that really helps to reduce stress on the gallbladder and helps with the liver and detoxification. So this is something where it's so easy as just making sure you drink your water. That can help with helping your detoxify your liver. Number 7 is one of my favorite things that you could do for your digestive health, which is castor oil packs. Now, castor oil is amazing because you can use it for so many different parts of the body. You can even use it on your eyelashes, your eyebrows to grow the hair. It's great if you have period pains. It's great if you have any kinds of problems where there's a lot of stagnation and congestion. So, a castor oil pack is super easy to make. You just need to make sure you get a very good quality castor oil. So this is pretty affordable. If you go to Healthy Planet, for example, make sure it's in a dark glass bottle. And you just do about 2 tablespoons of it onto a cloth that you're not going to be using anywhere else. It's like an extra cloth. And you basically create a little pack. So you put the castor oil on there and you apply it onto wherever there is pain. So for example, in the gallbladder, it will be right under your right side, right under the ribs. And so you apply it there and you leave it on for about 30 to 60 minutes. So you could be watching a show or you could be doing some work with the pack on. I tell my patients to put some heat on there too, because that can also help stimulate the gallbladder and the liver flow. Now you can do this anywhere else in the body too. So you can do it if you're having period pains, right in the lower belly area too. And you can do this every day or 3 times a week, depending on how bad things can be. So castor oil is a great oil to help move things. So it can help with improving bile flow. Another great supplement is called Tadka. So Tadka is a bile salt. So it can help to thin the bile and dilate your bile ducts. So this can be very important if you have a chronic sluggish bile. So your doctor might say, your gallbladder looks fine, but there's some sludge in it, So that's where a supplement like this can be helpful to improve that bile flow, to get that sludge out of it into your digestive system, and so you can release it. So it really helps with also your glucose levels too. So if you have trouble with blood sugar, diabetes, then this is something that you can take. Now, one study found that it can increase bile flow by 250%. So that's a big, big, big jump, right? So this is where, like I mentioned, you want to also talk to a healthcare professional before trying these things out, because let's say if you have a lot of stones in your gallbladder, we don't want it to be constantly flushing it out, because sometimes these stones might block the duct, right? So that's why it's very important to speak to your naturopath, speak to your healthcare provider before trying to find your exact dose, what you would need. And so this is something that can be very, very helpful. And so we talked about a lot of different digestive strategies to help your gallbladder, because yes, it's very important. It's important for our digestion. It's important for breaking down our fats, so that way we have the energy, we have a support for our nervous system. And the gallbladder disease takes time to develop. So it's very preventable. It will send you small signs that, if we ignore it, that's when the gallbladder attacks can happen. And that's when it ultimately leads to being removed. So we want to make sure we have prevention. Prevention is key. And so that way the gallbladder surgery isn't your only option. So a lot of these dietary support, the strategies we mentioned, you can do this every day if you'd like to, just to maintain the health of the gallbladder. And that way you are able to keep this small but mighty organ in your body that can be very, very helpful with your digestion and overall health.
Thank you, Dr. Udani. So many great strategies there, but really talk and get a consultation to make sure that you have the right one for you. We can overwhelm our bodies and increase that stress, which would make things worse. So getting the advice, get a coach. It's okay. We don't need to do these things alone. And as a chiropractor, what we do is help reduce that stress, reduce that fatigue on your nervous system. If you follow those nerves from your brain down your spine, you will see that it goes to your liver, it goes to your gallbladder, it goes to your digestive system. And when people typically have gallbladder or that sluggish gallbladder, they tend to get mid back pain and right shoulder pain. They may even get it down their leg. So if you're starting to see those signs, you want to talk to your chiropractor, improve that nerve flow, and make sure that you work with a chiropractor that's comfortable working with a holistic nutritionist and naturopath, so you're getting that teamwork you deserve. Chiropractors are going to remove that pressure, remove the irritation on the spinal cord, so that you are going to be into a better parasympathetic state, more rest and digest state. So your body's more relaxed. You're able to manage, even if you make those mistakes and eat those wrong foods. I mean, one of the great things Dr. Udani says, if you're going to make a mistake, you're going to have a bad meal, have green tea with it. Like, how do you manage? Because none of us are perfect and make a perfect moves, perfect diet all the time, or, always have the perfect posture, never on a cell phone looking down, never lifting a purse opposite way, never doing physical labor or sitting long periods of time. None of us are perfect. And all of these areas can damage the spine and create stress on the nervous system. So that's why we believe proactive teamwork is the best. And if you have had your gallbladder removed, make sure you're creating a plan of action, so the next part of your life post surgery is going to be that much better, not leading to other problems and organ systems and digestive problems. So stay tuned with us. Our goal is you learn one new thing every single week. Like Dr. Udani said at the beginning, we're 50 times better at the end of the year. We're all on this learning pathway. So if you are finding this is stressful coming up to the holiday season, join us for our Dine with Doc on stress. Learn more about keeping that muscle mass and the importance of managing inflammation, that that achiness and swelling or edema that you can feel in your extremities. So we have something new for you all the time. We're here to help. Connect with us. You're able to see these on YouTube, on Facebook, on our website. Please do a review. Our goal, we do this volunteer. Our goal is to help you. Our goal is to help your family. These are volunteering. You can pass them worldwide. It's a goal is to make sure we can help people live in a healthier way with energy, quality of life, not just quantity of life. So we look forward to being with you again soon.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Have an amazing evening.